Uh, so nice to meet you all. And since this is the first time that Proton has been represented in this type of summit, I'm going to be a bit introducing also what Proton is. But yeah, myself, so I'm Sam, and I'm engineering director of Proton VPN, which is one of the main products of Proton, and we are a product company. And yeah, Pedro, maybe.
I'm Pedro. I'm a software engineer at Canonical, and I like snaps. So that's how I got into this speech.
And that's also why I got here, because of your contribution. So a bit of a brief history about Proton. So Proton was born now 11 years ago from an idea of among certain scientists that after Snowden demonstrated to the world what nasty things were happening in terms of against privacy, they decided that it was the right moment to try to build the products and solutions to provide privacy to users. And so 11 years ago, from few discussion at CERN, this became a reality. Proton started as a community-funded company with a crowd-funded initial investment, and then became little by little to grow by adding additional products. So basically, it was an ideal as a type of company to demonstrate that it was possible to create a successful company that wasn't selling data of their user in order to profit, right? Differently than other companies like, okay, maybe I'm not talking about the other companies, but the idea is that you could make a profit, be profitable, even if you are protecting actually the privacy of users. And the point is, people was the right moment because people were ready to actually pay for getting a service and being protected at the same time rather than just give away their data for free. And basically the idea is really like that Proton exists in order to serve the world, right? We want to provide privacy for everybody, so not just paying users. So we are always like a free tier for all our services for anyone who needs basic privacy or basic access to the internet in the case of the VPN. And basically our ideal is really like to always put people before profit, people before before everything else. And so we are actually a product company, which means that we are not building technology specifically for developers or similarly. Yeah, I've seen a bit of talks in these days in this summit where indeed talking about open source, when it's technology built for developer, there is a natural way to open source it because you are going to talk to other developers that are going to contribute. In our case, we are building products for final users, so they can be anyone, of course, like of all the different type of background. And so there are some challenges that I'm going to talk a bit about. But the principle is that what we are doing is building products that are end-to-end encrypted, protecting privacy. We are based in Switzerland, which has a strong privacy history, and it's one of the differentiation. And also, indeed, we have always like a free plan for everyone. And when you are building privacy, when you want to really like be transparent to users, well, privacy is guaranteed if you are open source. If you can gain the trust from your user. And in order to gain the trust, you really like need to be open and transparent. And so that's why we have decided that all our code base of what goes installed on the devices of our user is open source. It's available to be inspected. Users could, in principle, build their own client for every product, should they not trust what we are providing them like as a binary. And yeah, this is part of really like the promise of being transparent. Wow. And concretely, what does it mean is that everything that runs on a user device is open source, and in general, all our apps are GPL v3. And instead, for libraries, we use MIT license so that anyone can do whatever they want. And we have different code bases for web, for Linux, for Windows, Android. Every platform we have different support. And in particular on web in general, it's all based on React.js and TypeScript. On Android, we use Kotlin and Rust now, some old parts of Go. On iOS and macOS, Swift, and again Rust, or sometimes Electron. And on Windows, we use C# and Rust again. So Rust is becoming like the de facto language for the shared part of code and also for system development. And on Linux, we have Python and Go and Rust. So in particular, the Proton VPN client is really like developed in Python and GNOME. And we still have some old code base in Go, but we are migrating out of it for good reason. Go. And so being open source is, of course, being available also. So this is just an example, but yeah, all the code is on GitHub. So people can download it, inspect it, and yeah, sometimes indeed we receive also contribution. And yeah, for basically, this is just to demonstrate like every app is accessible. And indeed, in terms of open source, again, people can inspect our code, so it's sort of open access, right? And you can build your locally, and ideally we try to go the extra mile. For instance, we try to be available on F-Droid. I don't know if for those that are Android users, F-Droid is a repository that is allow you to have apps that are absolutely open source and de-googled, so that you are sure that the code there is not sending data home to Google in case you disagree with that. And so this is possible only if you are truly open source, not linking to Google libraries, etc. So we have done also this additional aspect, and other apps are going to go into that direction. And being open source, and also it's actually meaning being community driven. So again, we are a product company, so we have product managers, they have a vision, a strategy, etc. on how to build. On the other hand, what we are building is for the people that we are trying to solve the problem for. And these people are our community. So the community of Proton is really like vocal. They reach out to customer support, they reach out on social media, we have user voice, they send merge requests if possible. And in terms of source code, that's the tricky part, because when they send merge requests, since we have our own roadmap, it's sometimes difficult to accept those merge requests. And also we have very little teams, so different than what we heard from Microsoft. Well, they talked about a cost in accepting merge requests from the community. And for us, the cost is high, so it's tricky. We are not often able to accept random merge requests that arrive out of time. But on the other hand, it's easy for us, for example, to have the community collaborating in translation, in reporting bugs, in packaging, and we have here one example. And for instance, also on Windows itself, we have a community that is maintaining the Winget repository. We have Flatpak, we have Snap. And then we also received at some point entire clients implemented by community, in particular Proton VPN first to Linux client iteration. They were both implemented by 2 community members that were so enthusiastic, or maybe so pissed off that we didn't have a Linux client, that they contributed it. And one of them now is working with us and is the one of the main developer of the current Linux client. So it's actually a success story. And yes, and otherwise the community is present on every social channel. And open source is not just receiving contribution to our code, but it's also contributing upstream. So of course, since we are building privacy products, and privacy is all about trust, and we need also to trust what we are running. So everything that we are running, for instance, on our backend or in general, is open source. We are building everything on top of the open source frameworks. And our engineers have sometimes to extend these aspects. And so this is an example of various projects that we have contributed upstream code base, in particular the Symfony PHP web framework. So now you know that the backend of Proton is running on PHP. And on the Linux kernel, we had some patches also integrated there because we are pushing the limits of what is possible, especially on the VPN servers. And so sometimes we find things that needs to be changed or adapted. And we are the official maintainer of OpenPGP JS, which is useful for encrypted end-to-end emails. And then, of course, open source. It's really like synonym of Linux. And now we are a product company again. So we are building for everybody in the world. And if you are building also products, maybe not Canonical, well, but any other company that are building mainstream products, you know that the community, I mean, the user base is using all sorts of operating system, and Linux users are a minority. That's the truth that that needs to be admitted. Like in our case, so this is from our production, we have 2% Linux user, we have Android 24%, iOS 26%. This is for our Proton VPN client, for instance. But if you ask on Reddit, on our Reddit space, well, they thought that they are the, I mean, the survey came out that the Linux users are 40%. They are all on Reddit, and they are very vocal. And because they are passionate. Linux is about passion and about, and yeah, about really putting your voice out and talking about the problems and also about bringing people in. So even if Linux concretely is in proportion a minority, Linux is really important because the Linux community and the open source community is really like part of those who go around and talk about technology, talk about the rights, about privacy in our case, and they are really like passion. And this is really important. And also they are the most skilled. So skilled people are then going to talk to their grandmothers or parents and and try to explain how to protect themselves, how to adopt a certain technology or product. So we need to make Linux happy, and so we are working on it. So for instance, this is Proton Pass, now available on Linux. This is Proton Bridge. So this is our IMAP export of our Proton Mail API, which is okay, download for Windows, but Linux is there for RPM, Debian, and package build. And also, like, this was Proton Mail desktop app. And yeah, and Proton VPN also with Ubuntu screenshot is also available on Linux natively. And in general, our principle is that since we are a product company, we want to be available to everybody in the world. So we want to be available for as many distros as possible of Linux because that's the truth, right? Like you don't want to say, okay, this one is an annoying distro and and we don't like it and therefore we ignore it, even maybe if it's a major distro. So it's tough because there are lots of competing technologies around, but we are trying as much as possible. And in general, yeah, we are building things using Linux technology on Linux. So Qt library and or Electron, or for Proton VPN is based on GNOME and Python. But yeah, the fragmentation of distribution is really a challenge. And by the way, I use Arch. It's really like something that comes all the time. And yeah, they expect that basically, yeah. We have all the time like, yeah, but when it's on Arch, and all their specific distros. And similarly, we have Proton Drive. So Proton Drive is a storage solution. We have clients for all the platform, but Linux is still missing, and it has become a meme in our community. Basically, all the time is, okay, yes, thanks, you have implemented this feature, but when Proton Drive on Linux? It's always like very important. And yes, we want to implement it, but the team is underwater in this moment. And that leads me to Proton on the Snap Store. So we try to be on many distros, and officially it's good to provide the Debian packages and RPM packages that covers a vast majority of situation. The community has built Arch packages, but then again, if it's the community, then we cannot say we officially support. We say it's the community. But providing Debian and RPM packages that user needs to download from our website is not really helping for discoverability because, well, they are running. The user needs to go on our website, download a package that maybe it's a repo package, install it, update all the source list, and then reinstall the specific package. It's cumbersome to explain to new people. With the Snap Store, things can be different. And I would pass the ball
All right.
to Pedro here.
So yes, this is where snaps come into the picture. As Sam explained, with the deb package and RPM package that they provide currently, you have to reinstall the package every time there's an update. That was the main thing that drove me to looking for other alternatives to installing the packages. I noticed there was a Flatpak, but there was no snap yet, so I decided to take on that challenge to snap the packages that Proton provides. So why snap? I decided to use snaps because, one, they offer discoverability. As Sam mentioned, that was a drawback for their deb packages. The Snap Store and the client on Ubuntu provide a really easy way for users to find any applications that they're looking for, see user feedback on their upvotes or downvotes on each snap, and also for user experience, that's also a big part. You can automatically download any updates. You can roll back any changes in case there's any issues. And for the developer experience, it's a really simple packaging format. It's just one file, if you're lucky. There are some other snaps I've worked on that are not one file, but anyways. It is one manifest file, one YAML file that is very simple to package for any packages out there. And it has a very well-written documentation and a really vocal community and support forum that you can reach out to in case you run into any issues. In terms of security and privacy, which are a focus for Proton, it provides confinement, so that's a big selling point as well for snaps. So that was another reason that I chose to package these applications as snaps. Currently, out there, you can install the Proton Mail, Proton Pass, and the Proton Mail bridge as snaps. You can find them on my GitHub page, Pedro-Avalos. Currently, we're working on transitioning that over to Proton, but that's still a work in progress. So these are packaged from binaries mainly. I've experimented with packaging from source for the Proton Mail bridge specifically, but that's still in the works. I do want to shout out the Snapcrafters. They're a great community that can provide a lot of help, a lot of resources if you have any issues with getting started with Snapcraft and packaging and the applications out there. Their template is really useful to automate a lot of the process to get into the Snap Store. So, with the Snap packaging experience, I want to talk a little bit about my experience with that. There are some challenges when you're creating a Snap package. In my case, the biggest challenge was that I'm not a Proton dev, so I don't have access to any insider knowledge, any knowledge about maybe issues with packaging that they have run into in the past, any reasoning for specific implementation choices. So I had to find that out by myself. Thankfully, Proton is an open source company, open source first. So that challenge was not as much of a challenge for me since I could just go to their GitHub page and find any issues, any feedback from users, any change logs, or look at the code specifically in case I needed to create any patches for the bridge specifically. And yeah, that's all available out there for me to look at when I'm creating the package. Then I do want to give a little bit of note on the Proton VPN that's in the works. I've received a couple of comments online asking when that's coming to the Snap Store. We're working on trying to package that from source, actually, for various reasons. First of all, that it is easier to package it from source in our case, since it has a lot of dependencies and custom dependencies, so this makes it even more easier for the snapping, and also for providing confidence in that the package is built securely. And also with the Proton VPN, we're working more closely with Proton, specifically to create the package, giving any feedback back and forth on where maybe Snap falls short in its features or access to Linux, and also providing feedback on how they can improve their programming for adaptability to different platforms, specifically with how Snap accesses the file system. So yeah, that's great progress that we're making with the Proton applications. And then I believe Sam added these slides.
Oh, it's missing the other one.
Yeah, it's transition.
The screenshot.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. This is a funny thing. Like, look at the link. This is exactly this talk. Someone in the community found that we were going to talk at Canonical at Ubuntu Summit, and oh no, like this is so bad. Like you are going to do Snap and not Flatpak, and it's really like no, like seriously, like we are trying to be everywhere, right? To be available. So it is clear that we are doing Snap. Well, actually, thanks to Pedro, we are on Snap, but in addition, right? And thankfully, still the community, finally one user was not biased and really said, okay, I assume that Canonical approached Proton and said, hey, why don't we bring things on Snap? And it makes sense, blah, blah, blah. And so it's not in exclusion, and and it's really in addition. I commented, pretty much is exactly what happened. And and then the thread calmed down, because yeah, it was really like quite an intense thread, again, because seems all the Linux users are on Reddit, and they're all on Arch. And it's really like, but we know that the vast majority of our Linux users are Ubuntu instead, so it's difficult to explain it to the Arch user. But, and I had a screenshot, but it seems like I've not.
Yeah.
Yeah. About our presence now on the Snap Store, this is really like nice, because yeah, maybe I go back to this. One of the nice things of the Snap Store is actually that it's a store. And this is actually very important for a product company, because it allows us to customize a bit the presence, to explain to users, to put the screenshot, to monitor. It's really important to know a bit where are users coming from, which markets, etc. And this is really like very useful. And we have been spoiled by Android, not by iOS, but by Android, about all the nice features in the Play Store. And the Snap Store is really like coming towards that direction, and it's really like useful for that. And so basically, just concluding a bit, really, this path is to really talk about the fact that, yeah, open source is really like about trust, and it allows to building trust, and that communities are really do matter. And yeah, I'm really grateful for this collaboration with Canonical. And therefore, if you are not working at Canonical, because it's sponsoring, if you are in the community, and we are hiring, so shameful plug, not to poach Canonical people. And but yes, no, we are thanks to this collaboration, we can reach we can make even more people be able to adopt privacy protecting tools worldwide. So, thank you.